Well, hello, everybody. It's good to be here again and welcome. Welcome to Life Coach University and today's PIF talk, held by me. Today we will be talking about core values. But before we go into that topic, I just want to remind you that at Life Coach University, we truly do believe in the power and strength of coaching. And today's talk and every PIF talk, Pay It Forward talk, is offered to you free of charge from the bottom of our hearts in the belief and strength of coaching. And all that we ask you to do in return is to pay the favor forward. If you have any benefits gleaned from this information that is useful and valuable to you, then that's a gift. But please pay that favor forward to others in a meaningful way that's appropriate to you, in a way that you can. That could be a group of people, individuals, whatever is appropriate. So just remember that and pay it forward, please. So again, my name is Maxine Tolbert. I am a best life advocate, but I specialize in life and success coaching. And I work with older professionals who are in the corporate world and find themselves overwhelmed, or actually dominated by a lot of expectations to many different people, sandwiched between older children, themselves at home and at work, and aging adults. Because in that dynamic and that sandwich in between, there are so many things that pull our time, and what often gets lost is ourselves. And I return those individuals to their innate selves, reconnect with who they are, and use the power of what they have evolved into and become and collected along the way to do better. Now, one of the fundamental things that I work with all of my clients is understanding and establishing knowledge about their core values, because those core values are a guide. They are the basis of how we behave every day. They form the basis of decisions that we make. But in all honesty, many of those decisions and those behaviors are unconscious, because those core values become so embedded in us, we actually don't pay attention to them. And I found that when I work with all of my clients, every single one of them, to include myself, is that you can't name your core values. It's not just something you can pluck out of the sky. It's not something, or they are not something, that you can just put your finger on and identify in a very eloquent way easily. Core values are our fundamental beliefs. They can be personal, individual to you, or they can be the beliefs of an organization. They are the guiding principles that dictate our behavior. And they actually help us understand the difference between right and wrong. They also help us stay on the right path, fulfilling our goals, fulfilling what we are desiring in our lives in an unwavering way. Now, there's many different examples of core values, and depending on the context and the world in which you live, they're going to vary. So I'm going to today focus on personal core values, but I do want to kind of put a stake in the ground and identify some things that you probably can relate to, because you know these, because you see them regularly advertised and promoted from a company standpoint. So let's look at some of them. I've got a list, and forgive me if I'm reading a little, but I want to make sure I include all of these. So some companies will have a core value in their commitment to sustainability and acting in an environmentally friendly way. Companies like Patagonia, for example, Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Environmental sustainability is a core value of those companies, and you're probably familiar with both. Some companies, core values is a commitment to innovation and excellence. Apple, for example, best known for that commitment. Another company, let's see, Google, their commitment to doing good for the whole. In other words, making a great search engine and building a great company that can provide what people desire to get from the internet easily. Other companies like to do charitable donations and charitable contributions. Publix is one. Tom's Shoe Company, they will give away a free pair of shoes to a needy person for every pair that it sells. Other companies will dedicate their commitment to building strong communities. I know many in the Tampa Bay area where I live, where the charitable donation is extremely important. One big one that you may know of is Shell. They actually donate millions and millions of dollars to the University of Texas to provide student education in the areas that they believe Texas needs it. So can you see that core values just in your everyday lives with things that are happening around you are important? They guide those companies. They're a set of principles that they stick to and promote externally and internally to their employees to get everybody on board with the mission, because those purposeful missions mean something. So again, today we're going to focus on personal core values. Now let's think about those. Let's give you an example or a thought. Often when you hear somebody talk about why they fell in love with their significant other, they're going to mention that their other person, their significant other, has the same values. They have similar beliefs and beliefs in how life should be lived. So they've come together and they resonate together in forming families and forming a union going forward that perpetuates those core values and those beliefs. Some of those, in the ways that people live their lives, can fall into certain categories. So let's see if I can do this for you. There can be fundamental beliefs or lack thereof in God or an affiliation with religious or spiritual institutions. There may be a belief in being a good steward of resources and exercising frugality, right? Making sure that you have enough, but you don't have too much. Belief of family and the strength of family can be of fundamental importance. The belief in honesty is always the best policy, and that trust has to be earned. Again, core values, ones that I actually equate to very strongly, that trust and honesty, best policy. Belief in maintaining a healthy work and life balance. That's a struggle. And I think in this day and age, we all struggle with that one. We may believe in it, but we might not necessarily know how to do it. It's fundamentally important to us, but that's a very challenging one. Now, of course, not all core values are positive. So I'm going to go there just for a minute, because some people may have or may be more driven by self-interest or even greed, because they're core values too, and they will dictate the way that those people live their lives. So negative attitudes towards around core values, right? If people live in fear or insecurity and are forced to focus on survival in difficult circumstances, then some of their core values may be very negative. Some of them may be, and again, I've listed a few because these I don't gravitate to, but I work with every day as a coach. And they hurt my heart to say them, but I'm going to say them because they exist. And we work with them as coaches every day, and I do. A belief that the world is fundamentally a brutal place, and that only the strong shall survive. That's a big one. Belief that people are powerless to change and their fate is preordained, and it doesn't matter about their personal situations. Life happens to them, not for them. The belief that they don't deserve good things or good relationships in life. The belief that people are fundamentally untrustworthy and unloving. And the belief that life is meaningless. You can hear my whole heart just drop all of those. You can see how core values, whether you're conscious of them or not, will drive how you live your life. These principles and virtues are like a compass that you will follow, and they will be setting your track on how you live your life, negative or positive. So I want to ask you now, have you ever given much thought to your core values? I will share that every single client that I have coached has not, or they will claim that they have and they can state them. But when I get curious as to the process of how they got to that core value and ask them to demonstrate how they're living to it, they often change what they're claiming. So I want to share with you that it's important that we know what our core values are. And we're going to go through, and I'm going to demonstrate that in this talk today, because they will dictate our lives internally and externally, and they will empower or diminish us. We can be our best selves, or we can be held back. Now, those negative ones that I listed will hold you back. They will limit your potential in life. And those negative beliefs that I just listed there are often referred to in the coaching world as limiting beliefs. They will limit your potential in living a good life, a better life, because those beliefs will diminish what you are willing to take on and be accountable for. You're not going to try. And as an NLP practitioner, I spend a significant amount of time working with clients to identify these negative core values, these limiting beliefs, so that we can rewire their belief system and that conditioning that they have acquired during their life, to remove them, or at the very least reduce them so that their potential can step up. So the benefits. Hey, once you pay on your core values, you have the ability, you have the choice to stay mindful of them and not compromise them. So what I do as a coach practitioner is I work with my clients to elevate their core values into their consciousness. We live by our values every day, but we're not conscious of them. So we do exercises that bring them to the forefront of their mind so they can use these values as their principles and refer to them regularly, no matter what's going on in their lives. Even if they're scared or angry, the brain is going to convince you to do something else. But staying true and honoring your core values will be a great foundation to bring you back quickly and set you back on a more positive path to fulfilling your hopes, desires, and your dreams. When we have knowledge of our core values, we have clarity. Regardless of how tricky a situation is, right, we can move forward. And even in the short term, when things don't look positive, we can keep our eye on the longer strategic plans. So the first step is identifying your core values, if you haven't already. So let me share some of mine. This has been over a process of time. and these are key to me. These would be being trustworthy, being loyal, respectful, empathetic, inclusive. They are just a few of mine, but those are some of the key ones that I choose to be conscious of and honor during the day and in every action that I take. Now, I'm human. I am fallible. Sometimes I forget, but I do reflective thought at the end of every day. And I ask myself these questions. Did I earn people's trust today? Can I trust myself? Was I loyal? Was I loyal to what I believe in? Was I loyal to the people I love? Was I loyal to my purpose? Was I respectful to myself and to others? Respectful of other people's beliefs and values? Did I share empathy today? Did I demonstrate empathy? Was I inclusive? I do believe that we are all equally different. And I mean that succinctly. We are all equally different. We are different, but we are all equal. And those differences are what make us human and what make us beautiful. We are equally different. I honor that every day. And I include everybody in what I do. I think it's tearful just even saying it. It's very important to me because being excluded is one of the most painful things to do to somebody. So what if you're not sure about what your core values are? Well, today is the day where I'm asking you, think about it. Think about the big picture. Right now, see if you can just reflect on the big picture of what you value in life and in humanity in general. But I'm also going to give you a word of caution. Okay. In my research and in my coaching, I've revealed that there's over 400 values that people may have. And if a person is asked to select their core values from a list, due to the unconscious biases that they have, they are most likely to pick the most attractive ones and the ones that immediately speak to them because they are attractive and they sound great. And they probably are not the ones that truly reflect who they are. They are probably the ones who they wish to be. Let that sink in. So, like I said earlier, core values are not things you can just pluck out the sky and say, yes, I believe in this. Yes, I believe in this. For example, everybody says honesty is a core value to them. But I'm going to tell you, we lie to ourselves every day. We lie to others every day. I get asked when I'm feeling really down, how are you? And I'm going, I'm fine, everything's great. Often that's not true. Often I'm struggling with something. The other person may be too. One of my pet peeves and words that I do not like in life is fine. It's so nondescript. What does fine mean? But we say we're honest and we're not. We tell little white lies. We're not honest about the tooth fairy, Santa Claus, Father Christmas, the Easter Bunny. We tell kids that the elf on the shelf helps Santa and they've got to be good boys and girls because he's reporting back every night. Yes, they're all little white lies, but are they truly being honest? We make things up all the time. So I'm just pressing that button because I think that's something we can all equate to. Now, the other thing is about core values, if you're trying to establish what they are. Out of those 400 or so words, and if you Google, you'll probably find even more. I think somewhere I saw there's 600 values up there now. Goodness me. Many of them have the same root value, the derivative. What do I mean by that? we may choose some of those values if they're listed based on the emotional language and intelligence that we have associated with those, right? The background of those. So this can cause us to select, say, 10 of the very similar words because they all emotionally mean something similar, right? Loyalty. There's so many derivatives of that word. So if you have 10 very similar words with one or two root causes or root sentiments behind them, then that's not enough core values for you to really navigate your life by. You will fixate on one area and kind of be neglectful of others, and they won't truly represent the whole you. So again, that list would be of less value, right? It's not of much use. So to truly identify your core values, you need to go through a process where there is no choice involved. A process, an objective process. And later on, I'm going to take you through that process. It's an awareness exercise. It involves a lot of time and deep thought. And it derives from some very key work that Scott Jeffrey has done on core values, which spoke to me years ago, 3 years ago. He has gone through some step procedures and processes to develop an assessment of what your core values are. And I've elaborated that into a full down exercise that if you contact me after this, I can send it to you as a download for you to go through the exercise. We will verbally go through it today. I will share it today, and you are very welcome to take notes. But it is best spent with significant time. And I've adapted his work into a bigger picture format. So I use it in my practice, and I'm today offering it to you. So later we're going to go through on establishing that core values in a stepped exercise without requiring those human biases that we have. I'm also going to share with you at the end of that, and the kind of part 2, on how you can audit the key aspects of your life to make sure you're actually honoring those core values in the key aspects of your life. It's an audit to see if they're really showing up and where they may not be, because where they are not showing up in aspects of your life are the areas you probably need to focus on, because those areas are probably holding some frustration and pain that you can help alleviate if you have a better compass, a stronger compass, and you are honoring it, because that's what core values is all about today. So once you have your list, your core values become your guide. You're going to refer to it frequently. You're going to keep it in the front of your mind. You may until you actually get very habitual with it, and that takes 60 days at least. You may carry a little cheat sheet with you, a little reference card with you that reminds you of your core values. You may stick it on a mirror, so you're looking at the end of every day. This is what I do when you're cleaning your teeth. Did I honor my core values? It's a reflective thought process. It can take you 10 minutes to just literally reflect on the day. Look at your 6 core values. That's a wonderful number. Any more than that, and it gets a little too complicated and you won't remember them. And you can literally go down them and say, did I do this? Did I do this? And more importantly, where didn't I? Where didn't I show up? And with the good intentions set for the next day to do better. Because that's what life's all about, right? Doing better every day, 1% better every day. Those motivational changes, those inspirational small changes. So again, in moments where life throws you challenges, you can refer back to those core values and check in and make sure that you're on the direction that you want to go. In every action that you take, and I would say in every significant decision that you make, in a day, week, month, year. Do it in alignment to your values, because then you can trust that you are working towards your purpose and your goals. They could be relationship goals, they could be financial goals, they could be whatever. We will touch on the 8 key aspects of your life for those kind of guidance decision points later. But in maintaining and sticking to your core values, you are maintaining your self-respect. You are improving your self-confidence. Self-confidence is self-trust. Can I trust myself to do well by making the right decisions and taking the right actions? If you have a compass, your core values will become that. If you have a compass, you have a methodology of doing that. And in repetitive behavior, you will learn self-trust. And self-trust is self-confidence. And you will adapt it and bring it into every key aspect of your life, honoring yourself. When we don't do that, we lack integrity and we struggle to feel good about ourselves. And I know we all do that. I do that. I struggle to feel good about myself. And usually it's when I'm not paying attention to my core values. It undermines our ability to live well and be brave or be self-compassionate because we've lost our self-trust. All of these abilities are skills. They have to be used to maintain them. This habitual knowledge and recollection of our core values is a skill. It's a guide, it's a compass. The compass, it's a tool. If you become unconscious navigating your life, you will get lost. You need a good compass, and that's what core values are. And I know I'm preaching this a little bit, but I truly, truly believe this. And let's put it this way. My belief in core values is core to who I am and what I do as a coach. So, I hope that I'm sharing with you that this is a way of making a huge positive impact on your life. Even if you have negative core values, you can see by identifying them, you can work with somebody to rewire and reinvent your beliefs from a more positive perspective. I do not wish to focus on those today, but this process that I'm now going to take you through, the stepped process, is going to help you identify what your core values are. If we have time, we'll do a fun little exercise and then audit where they're showing up. All right, so let's go into that stepped process. And forgive me here, but I want to make sure that I am referencing them in order, because this is important to you and to me. So, discovering your personal core values. Now, I've already asked you, do you think you could articulate your top 5 to 10 values that are most important to you? And I've identified the challenges in doing that. Again, I invite you to Google core values, and you're going to see a list of, I think, over 600. You're going to see many, many articles and saying, here's some you can choose from. Here's some key ones. Here's some key ones in management. Lovely, lovely. It's useful to read that. It's not useful personal to you. You need to go through a process to discover yours because they are unique to you. They demonstrate your innate self, and they have been established over time with much conditioning. You may have adopted them, you may have been given them, you may have acquired them in the context of your environment, your culture. There are so many things that can derive our core values, that it is necessary for you to discover your own. You can work with a coach to do it. This is a stepped process that I'm offering here, where you can go through this yourself, personally, a reflective tool in which you can determine what they are, right? And the emphasis that I'm trying to make today is the fact that it's fundamental to who you are. And if there is one exercise I truly believe in, it is this for personal growth, knowing your personal core values. Okay, so we're going to go through 7 steps that will help you discover your distinct and meaningful core values and how they can serve you in every area of your life and work. Okay, so step 1, I'm going to use a term that you may or may not be familiar with, a beginner's mind. It is very easy for us as adults to presume that we know the answer at the beginning of any kind of program or any kind of process. We tend to tell ourselves, I know that, I've done that before. I don't need to do that again. Get rid of that. Let's start with the beginner's mind. Come fresh to the table and pretend like you have no idea about your core values or even what a core value is, right? Let's start from a clean place, because that is where you will show up. So no preconceived notions of what is a core value. And it allows you to tap into your inner truths, right? The ones that you may not be conscious of yet or may be unaware of. So take a deep breath, empty your mind, shake off, do whatever you need to do. You do have the answers, but they're probably in your subconscious, and we're going to tap into that. Not the adult version that tells you, you know this already. Okay, so let's create a space for some new insights and some revelations to arise. Now, the purpose of this is to come to your core values with some real clarity, but a distilled list of 6 or 7. I would often know more than that, because again, you're not going to remember them. They're not going to be can I say poignant, right? They're not going to be very strong, and they must all have different root emotions behind them. Okay, so first of all, this process includes you, involves you thinking about a reflective process. I want you to think about some peak experiences that you have had, meaningful moments in your life, something, or maybe several things that stand out. They can be positive, they can be negative, but something meaningful that has happened. It can be last day, yesterday, last week, month ago, over the holiday period, something that shook you, right? Woke you up, made you pay attention. Right? What would that be? I want you to write that down. So I'm going to try and give you an example here. Meaningful. Ooh, I do this every day, so I know my core values. So what was meaningful? Something meaningful that may have happened. Oh, okay. I had a client's sister reach out to me to wish to pay for more coaching sessions for her sister, because her sister was struggling financially, and she had seen her sister improve, and and really benefit from our coaching sessions. And she wanted to gift her some more for Christmas. That was extremely meaningful to me, that a client of mine had a sister who loves her so much and wants all the best all the best things for her sister, to gift her such a meaningful thing as to propel her forward to live her best life. How wonderful is that? So I want you to think of a peak experience, and there's three things. I want you to think about what's happening to you, right? So what's the context? What's the exchange that's going on? What's going on, right? What's happening to you inside? So for me, that was just an overwhelming admiration for an acknowledgement of love. So for me, that was empathy, right? That was empathy. What was going on? I've just explained it. And what values were you honoring? Well, for me, that was empathy. That was me understanding and recognizing empathy in another. And what I actually did was work with this sister to actually gift her a little bit more than the financial value of which she was willing or able to gift. So I met her empathy gift with more empathy. So that was a peak experience for me. So think about that. What's happening to you emotionally and physically? Where are you feeling it? What's happening? What's going on? What's the context? What's the exchange? And what were the values you were honoring? Now, for me, that was an easy thing to do because I know my values. I've been through these exercises many times. I'm very familiar. Habitually, I live them. Not always. I'm human. But I could get to my core value of empathy very quickly. Now, let's think, write those down, if you can, jot them down, or at least 3 questions that I've asked you. Now let's look at the suppressed values, the opposite direction. And think of a time when you got angry, frustrated, or upset. Unfortunately, our brains are wired in a way that we remember, I think, 10 times negative feelings than we do one positive, right? So I deliberately went to a peak positive experience first. Now let's look at some of the suppressed values. Again, angry, frustrated, or upset. Think about those. What's going on? Right? What are the context of what's going on? What are you feeling? What is the emotion that you are feeling? Where are you feeling it in your body? Now, what were you not honoring? What value was suppressed? What did you not honor about you and what you believe in that caused you to be in that state? So I'm going to give you an example. Driving around here in the Clearwater area can be a little crazy, especially when we have visitors coming down from up north, don't know their way around for the warmer weather. Not complaining particularly about that scenario, but when you don't know your way around and you don't know the roads, you tend to drive a little erratically and change your mind and direction very quickly on the road. So the other day I was driving home and I was watching somebody ahead go from a 4-lane highway from the very right-hand side that was about to exit, and they obviously clearly didn't mean to exit, to shoot right the way across 4 lanes into the fast lane, simply because, I don't know, but how dangerous was that? Now, I got very angry, mainly because that was so dangerous and I could see what could evolve from that, and how inconsiderate that was, and how undisciplined that was. There are rules of the road, you should know them. you have a driver's license, you are in a car, you are paying for the car or not, and hopefully you've got insurance. There are rules you need to abide by. So for me, one of my values that I did not mention earlier was integrity. Discipline, integrity, same root. I got very angry. I said some rude words, not to them, but loud in the car. I was very upset. The value that was not being honest was being integral to your privilege to drive. So I'm just using that as an example because positive experiences and negative experiences will identify your values. The negative ones will identify where they're not being at, what value is not being honored, and the positive ones will actually identify where you did honor your values, right? So think of those experiences. Now, you're going to find many of them. So pick the peak ones. They may all be different. See if you can get to a different value every time, right? A root value. Now, code of conduct. Think of this. What is most important in your life beyond your basic human needs, okay? What must you have in your life to experience? What is it you seek? What drives you? Is it a feeling of fulfillment? Is it creative self-expression? Is it a level of health and vitality? It's one of mine. Do you seek a sense of excitement and adventure? Do you love to be surrounded by beauty? Are you a constant learner, always learning, seeking more knowledge? What's fundamentally important to you that you experience in your life? Write them down. What are the values behind those? Always learning, for me, is about learning about myself and how I interact with others, learning about the world so I can be a better human. So again, that one comes back to empathy. If I'm not learning, I'm not understanding. And it's about the social interactions and our inclusivity of every human on the planet that is important to me. So always learning, those are my topics that I love to learn about. It's people, it's me, it's how am I interacting with the world and how am I showing up as a human? Do I like to be surrounded by beauty? Yes, I seek out and decorate my home in what I believe is a stylish and beautiful way. It makes me feel serene, makes me feel peaceful. Do I seek out excitement and adventure? That's interesting. I'll have to think on that one. In some respects I do, in some respects I don't. I'm a little older now, so the bones are frail. And would I seek to go skiing? No. Health and vitality, absolutely. I work out every day, literally every day for an hour, every day. I break a bead every day. That is important. This is my earth suit. I will take care of it. I was given this to manage my way through this world and provide what I need and serve whomever. I need to take care of it. So just think about all of those things. What's really important about you and write them down. What are the values that you must honor or be part of you with others? Now, once you've got a bunch of words now, if you've gone through this, and this process can take several hours, but I want you to chunk those values into related groups, right? Combining them, because you will have some that have the same root. Maybe you've got 20 or 50 values on your list. That's too many to be actionable. The whole point of it is to get it down to a few. So values like accountability, responsibility, and timeliness are all related. Think about that. So what's the most profound word in those three? If those come up with value to you, which one speaks to you the most? Is it accountability? Is it about being responsible? Timeliness is part of being accountable and responsible. So perhaps it's not that one. Maybe being accountable is the value that you hold dear. How about this one? Value like learning and growth and development. Those the same root. Which one is the most poignant to you? Is it learning? Is it growth? Personal growth? Development? Which is the one? Pick one. What about connection or belonging or intimacy? They are also very similar, right? They all have the same root, that connectivity, being included, being part of something. For me, it's inclusion. I pick the word inclusion. But connection, maybe that's the one that speaks to you. But see how I'm grouping them there. Look at the group and the root and pick the one that's most poignant for you. The whole point of it is to highlight the central theme of each value group so that you can distill your list down. And then you need to look at that list, which may be significantly less now, and determine your top personal core values. Now, this is the hardest part because, through this process of the exercise, you've become a little attached to some of these words. Some of these values are going to be very difficult to drop. It still may be a sizable list. But here's a few questions, extra questions for you to whittle down that list. Really think about each one deeply. Take your time with this. What values are essential to your life? Essential to your life. What would you stand on a mound for? What would you not allow to happen in front of you in your time and space? What will you fight for? Defend for? What's essential? What values represent your primary way of being? Not what you do, who you are. Mine is empathy. Too much empathy sometimes, but mine is empathy. And what values are essential to you supporting your inner self? What makes you you? What makes it, what is important? What's the value to you that really drives why you like yourself? That's a tough one, isn't it? Because not everybody likes themselves. We all go through phases where we don't. But what supports your inner self? Right? Learning is mine. Learning. So as you go through this, you can see that you as a unique individual possess strengths and weaknesses. And your values will reflect what matters most to you. You need to end up with, I would say, between 5 and 10, but really it works well in my experience with clients, 6 or 7 tops, so that you can recall them quickly and easily, because they're your guide. You need to be able to tap into them. So too few of them, you won't capture all of the unique dimensions of your being, but 6 or 7 is a great number. Once you have those, another big step, rank them in order of importance. Often the most challenging part, and you may need to do this in multiple sittings and go through this with somebody else, with a coach. I do this regularly with my clients. Go through and rank them. Now you have your core values. You have them in rich context. You have them in real distilled essence of you. And for now, that list, you need to get creative with. You need to perhaps develop mantras, inspiring words or vocabulary, that helps you bring them to mind. You may want to dig up words that add to emotional responses so they are more meaningful to you. What you need to do, and in the exercise that if you contact me, I share this whole process. You are going to be creative and you're going to anchor these in your conscious mind. You're going to make them very relevant and easy to recall, even under stress and under pressure. Then you're going to test the ecology of all of these values. Think about that. You've gone through this process, you've reflected, you've recalled your perspectives of your life that are subjective have now been included in all of these values. But practically, are you actually using them? Are they real? You've completed the list, you can walk away from them, but you must review them. You must come back to them. How do they make you feel? Are they really consistent with who you are? Are they hugely personal to you? Do you see any values that are inconsistent with who you believe you are? Do they belong to somebody else? For example, an authority figure. This is a value that you were given by your parents that you perhaps don't wholly agree with. Or society, and they're not you. Get it off that list. Check your priority rating. Really come back to this several times because you're distilling. Make tweaks and changes as necessary. Because what we're going to do next is you're going to audit your life. And we're running a little bit out of time, and please forgive me if I'm rushing this part, but we're going to actually go through a way of auditing how they're showing up. And I'm going to show you, if you can see this, it's a wheel of life. It's a blank one. And as you can see there's 8 segments on this wheel of life. If you were to Google wheel of life, you're going to see that there are several versions of it. Some will have 6, some will have 5, some will have 8. I like 8. 8 really gives you a good a good ability to look at all the different areas of your life in a very detailed way, but not be overly complicated or overly simplified. So on each one of these segments, you're going to write down family and friends in one, business and career in another, health, finances, romance, personal development and growth, that's one segment, fun and recreation, and your physical environment. Each of these 8 are essential parts of your life. You can look at every single thing you do in your life, and you will identify that they fall into one of these. They fall into one of these 8. That's my notice there that we're coming to the last 5 minutes, so bear with me. If you label this wheel of life, I want you then, over a process of time, you can choose a week, probably a good amount of time, or 2 weeks or 10 days, where you actually reflect at the end of every day and put a dot in each one where you can recognize that you honored your value. There's a value that you honored that day. So this is you putting your list into practice. You have your list, you probably have a cheat sheet, you may put it on your mirror, and you're going to, the end of every day, you're going to reflect and you're going to put a dot in wherever your value was honored in those 8 segments. And you may just want to, in that little dot right beside it, what the value was that you honored. Now, if you dishonored a value, that counts too. Put that in there, because now you're conscious of it. It showed up. It showed up in your life. It was meaningful to show up, and you recognize that you dishonored it. That goes in there too. Write it in there. After 10 days, you're going to have quite a little map on here. And you're going to see what core values showed up and where they showed up in each segment of your life. And more importantly, what ones didn't show up. How important are they to you? They didn't show up at all. They're not that important, are they, if they didn't show up? If you're not conscious of them, or you wrote it on your list, you're conscious that you're looking for them, but you didn't bring them to mind in any situation in your life, then they're not a core value of yours. Don't kid yourself. Take them off the list. But you're also going to see where some of those core values are important to you and they didn't show up at all. And I can guarantee you that those segments of your life are where you are not doing well. And those are the segments of your life that you need to focus on first, to really, really, really bring your core values in and honor them in a way that you're currently not. Because in doing so, you will improve that segment of your life. Now, I know that was a lot in the space of an hour, and this is not something that you can do in the space of an hour, and it does take dedication and time, which is why it's a key part of one of the programs that I run as a life coach. And I do ask you that if you would like a copy of the download, I can send that to you. If you contact me at Maxine at expectations-reset.com. This is my company, Expectations Reset, and go to my website. You can sign up for lots of different freebies and different resources, but if you email me, I will happily send this worksheet to you and the program to you. Not the program, I'm sorry, the worksheets and the guided process. And you can do it in your own time without having to rewatch this and scribble down notes, because it's a lot. Again, my name is Maxine Tolbert. I'm a life success coach and an NLP practitioner. This is a PIF talk on behalf of Life Coach University, and PIF stands for Pay It Forward. Thank you again for listening today. And I remind you at the end of this talk today to honor yourself, your core values, and in doing so, pay the favor forward for the benefit that you got from this talk or any other PIF talk in doing something great for another person or group of people in a way that is relevant and meaningful to you. Because that's the ripple effect of coaching. That's the ripple effect of living a good life. We live well in service of each other and being inclusive. So with lots of love and lots of good intentions for your well-being and your future, I leave you today, and I wish you well. Thank you again.